The Tin Man Podcast is a proud partner with DashClip. DashClip specializes in crafting exceptional wallets that go beyond mere accessories. DashClip is not just a brand, it's a philosophy, a daily reminder to embrace life and make every moment count. Check them out today at the-clip.com. That's the-clip.com. This is a Tin Man Podcast hosted by me, Chris Tinius. I'm a former college soccer coach and avid music fan. Many episodes will have a hand in one or both of those topics, but we'll also delve into entrepreneurship, leadership, and other subjects. Basically, this podcast is my way to reconnect with old friends, get new perspectives, and help others share their own stories, passions, and expertise. Now let's get started with the Tin Man Podcast. Welcome back to the Tin Man Podcast. I'm Chris Tinius. The Big Stomp will take place Friday, July 26th and Saturday, July 27th in Louisville, Kentucky's Waterfront Park. 40 different musical acts will perform across 3 stages, and numerous other activities and mental health activations will be on site. Originally known as Pete Fest, the Big Stomp's mission is to stomp the stigma around mental health. The event benefits the Pete Foundation, and my guest in this episode is the Pete Foundation's director, Molly Jones. The importance of mental health strikes close to home for Molly. In 2016, she lost her son Pete to suicide after his own mental health struggles. Almost immediately, Molly and her entire family felt the need to do something to impact the community in a positive way. The Pete Foundation was formed, and relatively quickly, a music festival with various mental health activations came into being. Molly joined me to share about the Pete Foundation and the music coming to the Big Stomp July 26th and 27th. Here's our conversation. Welcome back to another episode of the Tin Man Podcast. I am joined in this episode by Molly Jones. She is the director of the Pete Foundation, which this Friday and Saturday, July 26th and 27th, will be hosting the Big Stomp. Molly, thank you so much for giving me a bit of your time today to chat.
Oh gosh, thank you for having me.
So, the Big Stomp is coming up, which will be a great weekend of music down at Waterfront Park. I know this is the first year moving to Waterfront Park. Can you maybe just, before we get into anything else, kind of give us the reason for the change of venue and kind of what you guys are excited about for this year?
The reason for the change of venue is just we felt like we needed to make our festival more accessible to everybody. We were on a beautiful piece of property in Southeast Jefferson County. It was just gorgeous, but a little hard and tricky to get to. And we do so much great work out there in terms of getting rid of the stigma around mental health and opening up that topic of conversation. We just wanted more people to be able to experience it. And we feel like the waterfront, we can keep our same vibe on the waterfront, but allow more people to experience what we're doing. It's really a unique festival.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we want to start here. So we'll get to a little bit more about the festival and the music here in a little bit. But like I said, you're the director of the Pete Foundation. Maybe give us a little bit of background on that, because that's what this whole weekend is going to support.
Right. So the Pete Foundation, our mission is to rally the community to champion youth mental health. And we want to do that through getting rid of the stigma around it, providing educational opportunities, more understanding about mental health. So we were formed in December of 2016. It was as a result of the loss of one of my boys to suicide. He lost his battle with depression. It was a tragedy. It was such a tragedy that it made his brothers and his sister and me and his dad immediately feel like we have to do something. The world is losing wonderful people, and you can't sit back and just let that happen. So immediately we formed the Pete Foundation with that mission. It was more driven on the mental health issue than preventing suicide, because the only way we're going to prevent suicides is to be able to adequately understand, diagnose, and treat mental illness.
Right. No, I think that's a good distinction, because you got to get to the root of the problem. You can't just start with the end product. You gotta get to the root of the problem, and and how people end up feeling like that's the choice they have to make. Is there anything specific about your son's journey um, that you try to address and pull out with the work that you do, or is it, like you said, kind of that broader mission overall?
Maybe I've never really thought about that question, but maybe there are some specific things, and that he was just a wonderful person and everybody loved to be in his company. He had a great sense of humor. He was always very supportive of everybody, very empathetic. So we had a lot of compassion about him, but yet we realized after his life was over that through all that, he was suffering. So he could do so much for people, but he was suffering. And so we just felt like giving children the opportunity to understand and express how they're feeling is very important. And so that's why, we want to focus on youth mental health. So it just moved us to feel like mental health is the issue. It's not suicide, it's the suffering that precedes it that we really have to stop. And then you will stop the suicide as well. And he wanted to help mankind. I mean, those are his words. And so we feel like because he lived such a good life for so many people, he leaves a legacy of not only his family, but his friends who want to use his life to help mankind and make a change in mental health.
Sure. Well, I'm sure he'd be very proud of what you guys are doing. Maybe give us a little more on the foundation. Like you said, it kind of started with your family saying, "Hey, we need to make a difference and fight this." And obviously, it has grown over the years. So maybe give us kind of the broader scope. Again, we're going to talk about the Big Stomp and the music festival, but I know there's plenty of other ways that you guys have outreach to the community as well.
Yeah. So we we've taken on a lot of projects. Some of them really kind of take off and are going great. We created a mental health flag,
Okay.
and that's now flown in all 50 states, a dozen foreign countries, and 3 or 4 different continents. So it's
Wow.
really made its way out there. You can Google mental health flag, and a lot of things will pop up. People are starting to use it as they do with the pride flag, to just color different things. I was looking for an ornament at Christmas time, and so I Googled green heart ornaments, and an ornament popped up that's made out of the mental health flag, which I
Huh.
thought was really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
so we've created the mental health flag. We do a project with that called Ribbon Rapport, and it's where people take different colored ribbons for the different forms of mental illness, and they write messages on them and then post them on the flag. And that's always very well received because it gives people an opportunity to express themselves, see how other people are expressing themselves and what other people are saying. And it also just brings together all the different forms of mental illness so that people see that they're not alone. It's just a collective of health conditions that we can all suffer, just like there's many forms of cancer.
Sure.
And then another project that we're just kicking off this year is called If This Is You, and it's a drink responsibly program that took us a couple years to develop, but it's looking at, are you drinking to avoid or cope with an underlying emotional or mental suffering? And if that's the case, we want to help you. And so then it takes them to a website, and a very easy to navigate website, see some quick resources, and then they can go from there, diving deeper into looking for more resources if that's needed. So we were very proud to take the drink responsibly to a little bit different concept. I mean, it is important, don't drink and drive and so on, but
Right.
there's other ways to look at what it is to be a responsible drinker.
Right. And again, what is the root of, of the drinking in the first place? Yeah, I saw
Right,
on the map for the festival the If This Is You. I'm not sure if it's a tent or a booth, but I know you're going to have something set up out there at the shows.
right,
Yeah. And
right.
then
It's actually going to be I was just going to say that if this is used saloon, it's going to be a 20 by 20 tent that's going to look like an old Western saloon, but it's going to be all mocktail. So we're pretty
Oh,
happy about
cool.
that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Again, talking with Molly Jones here, the director of the Pete Foundation. Again, before we start talking about the actual concerts, maybe share a little bit about the QPR workshops that you guys.
Okay. So the QPR is so important, and it stands for question, persuade, and refer. And it can be thought of as CPR for a mental or emotional crisis. CPR has a standard. They feel like, 1 in 10 people should be trained in CPR. Well, with QPR, there's a standard, and it's one person in every family should be trained in QPR. And something that's so beneficial about it is, one, you will save lives if you're trained in it. And two, it just makes you more comfortable talking to anybody about how they might be feeling. And, you hear so many times somebody's worried about somebody else and they might say, but I was afraid I'd say the wrong thing.
Mhm.
This gets rid of any of that. You're never afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing, and you will always be helpful to somebody in a time of need. So we offer those QPR workshops. We like to offer them in just like small, intimate settings. So if you have a group of friends and you want to get together, maybe a book club or anything like that, and then we can offer that training. And it's always nice to have it with friends and people that you're comfortable with, because that starts the conversation right there. But it's an important training to get. We offer it at the festival. We have every year because we believe in it. And it's always pretty well attended.
Oh, great. And so again, we're leading into the festival now, which is the Big Stomp, and the Big Stomp means stomp the stigma when we're talking about the stigma around mental health at times. So maybe give us
Right.
a little bit of the origins of this actual event, which I think dates back to 2017. Like I said, it's moving to
Mm-hmm.
Waterfront Park this year, but how did this whole thing kind of get off the ground as something to support the Pete Foundation?
Well, right when we started the Pete Foundation, of course, you start your nonprofit, and you're like, okay, what are we going to do to achieve our mission, to get the work done that we want to get done? And I think within 3 weeks of forming the foundation, my children, who I have 5 children, so Pete was one of 5, okay, and they were
Okay.
all in their 20s at the time we lost Pete, and they said, let's do a music festival. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual to combine mental health and a music festival. You think of a festival as, hey, let's drink and go out and have fun, and then mental health, like, wow, that's no fun. But they were like, no, we can combine them. It's going to be a great thing. And so I believed in them, and we did it. We held our first one in September of 2017. So 9 months after the original concept of let's do a music festival, and we held a 3-day music festival. It was very successful. So many people jumped in to help us, and it was really a good way to reach people on the issue of mental health. People come together around music all the time, for good
Hmm.
times, for bad times. Sometimes when you need something soothing, it's just such a good way to convey any feelings that you have, whether they're really good feelings or not good feelings. So music was exactly the right way to do it. And then it's a good way to bring a lot of people together. We do fun stuff there with our mental health activations, and we can get into talking about all those. But yeah, our first festival was 9 months after we were formed, and we used to do 3 days. Our first, I don't know, 3 years or so, we did
Hmm.
3-day festivals, and then we went down to 2-day festivals.
Okay. Yeah, I w- in preparing for this, I read an article where you were interviewed a couple years ago, and I can't remember if this quote was attributed to you or if you were attributing it to maybe one of the musicians at the festival, but it said music is a refuge from emotional suffering. And that was you know, kind of the thought
Right.
process behind it is, like you said, it's music is
Yeah.
a celebration and it can be fun and excuse to just go out and party, but it's also a way to bring people together and help kind of refocus and reshape your mind as you might be going through struggles. So, um, is there anything about the lineup for this year that jumps out at you, or a particular artist you might be looking to see? So again, for everybody listening, this is going on this Friday and Saturday, July 26th and 27th, down at Waterfront Park, and there'll be musicians. I think it starts at kind of late afternoon, early evening Friday, and then a little earlier in the day Saturday, and running well into the night. But is there any anybody you're looking forward to see, or anything exciting or different that is being offered this year?
Couple things there. Yes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Bad Bad Not Good. I've never seen them live. I've talked to people who have seen them live and they say it's fantastic.
Okay.
St. Paul and the Broken Bones, one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorites. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. Um, Jay Roddy, super popular. I want to see him. Couple special things we have though this year. Ben Sollee. Now he has performed at our festivals in the past. And let me go back to talking about the festivals in the past. We used to be called Pete Fest and we renamed ourselves to
Mm-hmm.
the Big Stomp. This will be our third year at the Big Stomp. But anyway, so Ben Sollee had performed when we were Pete Fest a couple times. But this year he's coming in again, going to do a great performance because he always does. But he's been more involved in our festival this year and much more moved by our mission. And so he's just been really good to work with for this festival in
Cool.
particular. I mean, he's always a great guy, but this has been really good. So I'm really looking forward to his set. And then we also have Jake Banfield coming in. Now he's coming in from Tennessee, and he's very much an advocate. He'll be playing Saturday. He's very much an advocate around mental health and seeking mental health care. So I'm sure he'll be speaking to that when he's on the stage, but also just before his set, probably about an hour before he goes on stage, he's going to be doing an Instagram video with a therapist, so somebody from our
Hmm.
Peak Foundation board, and he'll be doing that live in the field. So that'll be really fun to watch that discussion and be able to be part of it, and that'll be going up on Instagram. So I'm really
Cool.
excited about that. It's just really great. There's so many musicians that want to be a part of this festival because of our mission, because they believe in our mission and they see the importance of it. Feels good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are there any other kind of non-music offerings that you want to highlight?
Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of ways to introduce yourself to different forms of mental health therapy or mental health care. We're going to have a nice activate. We call them activations. So you get to come out. Let me step back. Originally, for the first few years, a lot of mental health agencies wanted to come out and do tabling and offer brochures and that kind of stuff. But festival goers, they want to be involved and they want to be active and they want to participate in the festival. So we create these things called activations. So you'll be able to come out and actually take part in some art therapy and
Yeah.
get some understanding about how that works. And we will be creating our own big art wall with all the pieces of that therapy. They'll all connect
Cool.
together to make one big wall. We'll also have a coloring wall out there because coloring is also, you can engage in coloring for mindfulness activity and so on. We'll be introducing you to sand therapy if you want to come out and see what that's like. And along with all
Hmm.
of these, we'll have specialists who work in that area and provide care in that area. But it's just an opportunity to see what that is like. Music therapy, we'll have some specialists in music therapy. And when the stages are not real loud, we'll be able to do some little drum circles or music therapy groups. We will have equine therapy out there. So we have
Hmm.
someone that comes out and works especially with people in recovery. So that's kind of exciting that this will be their third year out there, the equine group. Again, you mentioned we have our mocktail bar, so that's a good
Mm-hmm.
place to understand that sometimes drinking is not what's going to help when we're not feeling our best. When we've got a little emotional issue going on. We will also have a labyrinth out there. Norton Children's Hospital will be out there, and they've got this labyrinth that they'll set up so the festival goers can take part in that. And I keep saying because I'm trying to remember what they all are. We just have so many things. We have Oasis TMS coming out. Now that's a treatment that you can get that uses magnetism to help with anxiety and depression. It's very effective. It's proven. It's a proven treatment. They'll be out there providing information, but also having interesting magnet like demonstrations, for the fun
Okay.
of it. But it's really good to be able to see that there's that kind of treatment. And I'm probably missing some other things, but I think those are the big ones.
Well, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean, you used to, you buy a ticket for a festival, you go hear the music, and there's usually a couple other things going on. But I mean, just the price of admission alone for all these other offerings would be a good deal as its own ticket. So kind of leading into that, what do people need to know as far as tickets? I'm assuming your volunteers are probably set at this point, but if there's anybody who's says, hey, this really speaks to me, I'd love to help out. What can you share with us as far as getting there and actually taking part in the events at the Big Stomp?
So for tickets, best thing to do is go to our website, thebigstomp.com, and you can get tickets right on there. I will warn you, they are going to be a higher price at the gate. Once gates open, the price will go up. So
Okay.
definitely get your tickets early, online. You can buy daily tickets or weekend tickets. And I think there are still some VIP tickets available. We call those big bundle,
Okay.
but they may be selling out. Volunteering, we can always take more volunteers. And if you say, well, I would volunteer, but I don't want to miss any of the festival, tell you what you can do is you can volunteer for festival cleanup on Sunday. We're going to be out there setting up Wednesday, Thursday, and half a day Friday, and we got to get out on Sunday. So
Okay.
we can always use help then. And actually, tear down is always easier because it's just undo all that work that
Right.
we did over those 3 days to set it up. But and the way volunteering works is we have you buy a ticket, but then we will refund it once you meet your volunteer duty. And really for 4 hours volunteer work, you get the full weekend pass. So it's a pretty good way to see a
Pretty good
festival.
deal. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So again, that website was thebigstomp.com. What about, again, talking here with Molly Jones, director of the Pete Foundation, what about just supporting the foundation? Let's say somebody, um, they want to come see St. Paul and the Broken Bones, but they're out of town this weekend or they can't get out there. What are other ways that people can support the Pete Foundation even if they're not able to make it to the Big Stomp?
We have a lot of ways, and we have a lot of people that support us. I mean, we are almost all strictly volunteer, and it would go by what their interest is. So if they're
Okay.
interested in getting involved in this, if this is you, they can help us with that. We take that information out to restaurants and bars, and so someone can help us with that. Whenever we do a lot of events around town, if they want to get involved and help us staff our tent around town, maybe get involved with the Ribbon Report project that I mentioned, where
Mhm.
we provide the opportunity for people to write messages on the ribbons. They can do that. And we even have some people that say, hey, I'll come by the office, and if you need me to do stuff, I can do it. And there's always work to be done, whether it's getting mailings out or, delivering things places. So you can, if you want to be involved, just give us a call. We get people, if you've got the capability to do artistic work, we'll have you put stuff together for us.
Okay.
A lot
Yeah,
of
and we
things.
will we'll share all the website links in the episode notes. So if you're listening, go back to the episode notes, and that'll be a way that you can connect and kind of start through that process. But Molly, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you joining me, and I'm looking forward, to getting out there and hearing some good music. But more importantly, just appreciate the work that you do, to try to make a difference in so many lives in the area.
Well, thanks. It's a work I enjoy doing. It's work with a purpose. And I promise anyone who comes out to this festival will be amazed at what a wonderful music festival it is, but it's just a great experience all the way around. So, and thanks Thanks for having me on. Thanks for this discussion. It's fun.
I hope this episode helped you learn more about the Peat Foundation and maybe push mental health to the forefront of your mind, whether your own or someone close to you. I also hope it piqued your interest in the Big Stomp. There will be plenty of good music and other activities Friday, July 26th and Saturday, July 27th in Louisville's Waterfront Park, helping stomp out the stigma around mental health. You can check the episode notes for links to learn more about the Peat Foundation and the Big Stomp's lineup, ticket information, and more. Thank you again to Molly Jones for joining me. As always, I appreciate you listening. Catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts, and hit the subscribe or follow button to never miss an episode. You can also follow on X and Instagram at Tinman Pod or check out our Facebook page. I'm Chris Tinius. Keep an eye out for me if you make it to the Big Stomp, and we'll catch you on another episode of the Tin Man Podcast.